The reality is the more risk you take, the luckier you get. So people need to learn to take one big risk a day, because risk is where success comes.
Excuse me, do you have a dream?
Do you have a dream?
Do you guys have a dream?
My mum kicked me out of home at 15. Best thing she ever did for me, because pain equals success later.
Investor, entrepreneur, and staircase owner.
Simon Squibb back again for round 2.
The UK's fucked, right? We know it. How are we going to fix it though? Not more politics. Politics just divide people. Time only becomes important when you sell it. So don't sell time, buy time. The influencers of the future that are going to be, in my opinion, really successful influencers are ones that are actually making a difference in the world. I think that's why Elon has done so well. In reality, you can hate him or you can love him. I personally think he's trying to do good.
If you have an opinion, you're always going to get people who agree or disagree.
Yeah.
When you have a dream, you don't count the hours. You make every hour count.
How long is this going to take? I have no idea. I don't mind how long it takes because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Success comes from pain. Success doesn't come from giving you all the joy in the world, right? It just doesn't. You don't need money to make money. That's kind of a lie that we're told. What you need is...
What's up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. We have Simon Squibb back again for round 2. How you doing?
I'm ready. I'm ready to hopefully share with people things they need to know.
I feel like a lot has actually changed since we last spoke. You have been all over the world asking hundreds, maybe thousands of people what their dream is. How's it been?
It's been mental. I think over 1 billion people have viewed our content in the last 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
We've struck a chord. I think we're, as a team, not just me, right? I've got 26 people behind me that make this kind of dream machine work. I think a lot of people think it's just me. Of course it's not. I've got a brilliant team behind me, but I think there's real need for like more positivity in the world.
Mm-hmm.
and more, not just the problems. We all know the problems. You know, we all face it every single day. We see it in the news, but where's the solutions? So I think what I think is resonating is we're presenting the problems and being honest about it. The UK is fucked, right? We know it.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we going to fix it though? Not more politics. More politics isn't going to fix it, is it? Politics just divide people. So I think in a way, what the chord we've struck is like, well, here's a novel idea. Let's fucking come together and help each other.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very simple. It doesn't involve corporations making money or like scaring people with, you know, massive diseases that are going to kill us all, or wars that we better sit down and shut up because there's a war going on. What about we just help each other? You know, and I think that's what's happening online, which is why we're blowing up, why what we're doing is becoming important to people.
It's just raw. It's like it's real. It's not staged. It's not overly edited. It's just like genuinely interesting content, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why it's so successful, because people, they want to watch the video all the way to the end.
I think the other thing, my instinct is, and I might be wrong, people listening can give their own view down below, but like, I think people are sick of all this celebrity bullshit too. Like, I think listening to very successful people, for example, on podcasts, talk about how they're successful is fine. But what about like a normal person who works in a shit job at Tesco's? Like, what about, how can we help them? You know, what's their story? Because real people's stories, I actually find far more interesting than these celebrity stories that I've heard 1 million times already.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing, like, just like a normal person who's struggling to make ends meet and hearing their story, our content is about that. You know, it's like the normal person that has no money, that maybe schools let them down. They don't have the tools they need to have a good life. They've come from a poor or middle class background. You know, they haven't got access to everyone at Eton. And so I think our content sheds a light on those people. And I think that's again why it's resonating, because we're a bit sick of all this kind of like bullshit influencer crap.
Yeah. From the people that you have spoken to, what are some of the common trends that you've noticed with their mindset and the dreams which they have?
Yeah. Quick plug for my book, because I've written about this in my book, right? What's your dream? But if I tell you now, you don't need to buy it. As always, you can just tell you. I'll tell you everything in the book now, so you don't need to buy the book. But I think but if you buy the book, by the way, we're using all the proceeds to fund people's dreams and build infrastructure to help people. But anyway, there are actually 5 main things that I see. I've now interviewed about 8,000 people, because some videos we can't put out, by the way. Sometimes we interview people and they don't want to share it. There's lots of like those sorts of stories.
I've seen it where you've had to ask permission from their parents if they can
of course. Yeah, exactly. That's the other side of it, right? But I think a lot of people have a dream. Well, first of all, when they don't ask to share it, sometimes that's a confidence problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of subconscious stuff goes on between the ages of 0 and 7 when you're a kid. So if you're told you're useless, if you're told you're stupid, you believe it, and it ends up being your subconscious thinking, which is quite dangerous. If it's subconscious, you're breathing right now without even thinking about it, right? You're blinking, your organs are all working without you even thinking about it, right? A lot of subconscious actions happening. And I think a lot of people, one of the first traps they get caught in is that subconscious bias. So they think they're not good enough and they don't want to. Like the lady who wanted to sing, she wanted to be a singer. She knows her dream, but she won't sing.
Yeah.
Like that's
You're
crazy.
not going to get far if you don't
that's
do
what I
the
mean.
thing you're supposed to
And
do.
she's a beautiful singer, by the way. So her dream, she knows her dream, which sometimes other people, it's one of the second problems I see is that people don't know what their dream is. And that's because they're caught in fight or flight. They're so fucking scared. The news has made them scared. The governments have made them scared. They're scared to go out, you know, no matter start their dream. They can't make ends meet. The fight or flight mode they're in. That's the second stage, right? I see people don't believe in themselves. That's the first one. Second is they have this fight or flight kind of feeling. Their brain won't let them have a dream because you're fighting for survival. You're fighting to make sure the wars end. You're fighting to make sure your government gets in. You're fighting to make sure you don't get stabbed in the street because that's all we see, right? So people's brain, the creative part of your brain that allows you to have a good life and dream, not active, not possible. The third thing that I see a lot of people is like, I don't have money. This is crazy because everybody who's ever started a business who's been successful, not everybody, I'll be a bit more less blanket, but like me and people I know made money with no money. You don't need money to make money. That's kind of a lie that we're told. What you need is to go out there and make it happen. Like my first business was a gardening company. I just made it happen. I didn't have any gardening equipment. I'd never in my life done a garden, but I had no choice but to make it happen. So I think that a lot of time people don't know that they've got to like fight for their right to have a dream. And money is just an excuse for not doing it.
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue if you've got no money, you've got a competitive advantage. You've got nothing to lose. So go for it, right? So middle class people get trapped by their house and by their car and their nice holiday once a year. They don't want to lose any of that. They're trapped. Not people with no money. They're free. So I think that's the one. And then the it's not for me is what I hear some people say. I don't want to work that hard, they'll say, right? I'm like, but they don't know what they don't know, those types of people. They often haven't actually worked hard to see the outcome, the pure joy you can get from working hard. Because work has been tarnished in their mind. It's a thing they have to do. They've been trained to think that somehow starting your own business is going to be harder than working for someone else, which it isn't. That's a lie. But in their mind, they've been taught that. So they think it's not for them, but they don't know what they don't know.
And their experience of work probably so far in their life has not been great.
Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe they also see people working hard and they think, oh, I don't want to be like that. And I think that maybe their role models aren't the right role models, or they don't actually know that working hard isn't the secret to success. It's not. We're told that your boss wants you to work hard, but the reality is successful people don't work hard. Like the more successful I've got in my life, the less hours I actually work.
Yeah.
You know, because I realize it's about working smart, the whole cheesy line, but it's working smart, not hard. But more than that, it's about like realizing that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And you've got to pace yourself so you can do it every day. And working hard does not allow you to do that. But I think, yeah, so people a lot of time don't think it's for them. And they don't realize it is because they don't know what they don't know. So once they understood that being fit and healthy, what they can do to you, or having your own business, the freedom it can give you, it's worth making the work a good thing for your life, right? And then the final set of people are people that have actually failed, that have let failure beat them. So they started something that didn't work. 3 months in, and it didn't did drop shipping, and like they were promised online by some guy that sold a course that they were going to make lots of money, and it didn't happen quickly, and they only had 3 months of savings, and now it didn't work, and oh my god, they don't know business, right? So they haven't learned that you got to go again and again and again until it works.
Yeah. Some of the most successful people are successful because they don't give up. They don't quit.
Exactly. All of these things that I see why people don't follow their dreams are psychological.
Yeah.
So most people are self-sabotaging themselves. And again, I blame things like the media. It adds to it. You know, I blame the infrastructure of like governments want you to get a job. They also put jobs, right? They don't talk about why don't we help someone who creates jobs? No. In the UK, they're literally proactively not helping people start businesses because they want you to work for the companies. And these companies are the ones that give them all big jobs when they leave government, right? It's all about money. Governments are not about present government in the UK, past governments, I don't care who they are, they're all motivated around their own needs and their own glory. They either want their, like Boris Johnson wanted his picture on number 10. He said it, right? He wanted his picture up on the wall at number 10. Present government, without wanting to get myself banned from the UK, but the present UK government are partly just trying to make Labour a brand again, right? They're not thinking about what's good for people. They're like, what can we do that's popular, that makes Labour loved? Because in leadership, you have to be unpopular. Sometimes you have to do things that are long-term plays, right? Look at Dubai. This is all a long-term play in this country. Everything, they're not thinking 2 years and then we have to get elected again. So let's make everybody happy. So in 2 years' time, we can get elected again, right? And I believe in democracy. I grew up believing in democracy, but it's broken.
Yeah.
It's broken under the present structure because the people that you vote in have just done it to please you. And success comes from pain. Success doesn't come from giving you all the joy in the world, right? It just doesn't. So the UK right now is completely fucked. And I think I know how to fix it, but I don't know if it can.
When you're speaking to all the people you've spoken to in different countries, is it very noticeable when you're interviewing people from the UK? Like, do they have a particular attitude which is different from other parts of the world?
So, well, in the last 6 weeks, I've visited 7 countries. And I say countries in the form of Miami is different to LA, is different to Las Vegas. So, I mean, of course, it's the US, it's one country, but like conceptually, you can go to a completely different environment in the same country and have a completely different vibe. Like in England, go to Scotland, or you go to Cornwall, or you go to London, there will be a completely different vibe, right? So I was just in Hong Kong, again, completely different vibe. And what I've noticed is it's not so much the people, it's to do more with, again, I think it's media. Like you go to the UK now, everyone's down on the UK because once one person says the UK is bad, of course everyone else does.
Yeah.
So the UK now is bad. But if you talk positive, and again, I noticed this in Dubai, like everyone's talking positively about Dubai. Like it's on the up, it's building its infrastructure, it's building its population, it's helping support entrepreneurship. Like all I hear is positive stuff. So you know what happens? That attracts people who are positive. And it's like, it feeds on itself. It's just like your listeners, they're listening. If they tell themselves something negative about themselves, it will compound. If you think you're stupid, you will believe that and you will act stupid. Like I used to think I was stupid when I was younger. I was told I was stupid when I was 15 because I got dyslexia. I actually thought I was. Turns out I'm not.
Yeah.
I genuinely, if you'd ask 15-year-old me, are you smart or not? I'd be like below average. I think I'm not. I don't think I'm that smart. I can't read right. Like I really thought I was stupid. I'm not. I know it now. But like I think countries fall into the same trap. It's like I actually am very down on the UK at the moment. But again, I want to offer a solution. I think there is a solution to it. And it does start with mindset. If we start saying, hey, let's fix the UK, right? All the entrepreneurs that have left, I think 4,000 people have left the UK. 4,000 millionaires have left the UK.
I've seen that chart. It's
Do
crazy.
you know what's really stupid about this is like, when in UK, if you say to people, oh, 4,000 millionaires have left the UK, the mentality is good. Rich people, fuck off. I'm like, no. Why have you got the image that rich people are bad? How's this happened? Right, all they're doing is they're avoiding paying tax in this country, which will help everybody. Right, now they don't, in my opinion, majority of them don't really want to avoid paying tax. Now, yes, it helps. It's one of the incentives. But if you said to them all, look, please come back to the UK, let's fix it together. We're going to help you be successful too. We'll help you make money. So you then help the UK and fix the economy, help the population, help your people. 100% they'd do it. Now, of course, out of the 4,000 people that left recently, maybe only 3,000 of them will come back. And the other 1,000 are so selfish they won't do it. That's fine. But you could change things. But I think people need to be inspired. Right now, we're not inspired in the UK.
No.
Present leadership isn't inspiring. And with all the negative press about Trump and all of that Elon Musk stuff in America, what I noticed when I was in America is people are actually feeling a bit inspired, right? And sometimes that's all it is. If a government figure can do that one thing, inspire people to go for it, again, I'm not endorsing Trump, but there's a part of me that really is quite envious at the moment of that, car full of entrepreneurs running the government.
There was definitely a switch.
Yeah.
You could feel it, that the energy, even the crypto Bitcoin price went through the roof.
But again, people that don't understand how crypto works will see that as a negative. Everything scammy went up. That's kind of how people who don't see the long-term play see it, right? Blockchain is the future technology of all banking. So America was missing out on that because they were seeing it as negative. It's the future of banking.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be a future successful superpower, you better get on that train. So Elon and these, Trump now, because Elon's there, understands it, right? Because Trump 2 years ago was like, oh, Bitcoin's a scam. Now he understands it. And by the way, 5 years ago, there's a video of me saying it was all a scam. NFTs and Bitcoin are a scam. I used to also say the same. And then I educate myself. I stopped listening to the media and I understood the technology. It's going to change everybody's lives. What I love about blockchain in particular, and let's even say crypto to a certain extent, it can make normal people make a bit of money. And then with that bit of money, they can start a business.
Yeah.
Whereas with AI, right now, AI is controlled by all the rich people. AI has the opportunity to make some normal people rich if they leverage it. But in reality, people aren't leveraging it properly. The real money's being made by the super rich already. Whereas the kind of crypto blockchain world has actually made a lot of normal people rich. The thing that those people need to do, and there's a lot of them here in Dubai as well, they need to then turn it into a business.
Yeah.
That's the thing they need to learn to do. But I think it's an opportunity to let everyone should be rich. This is the thing people also hate me saying. If everyone gets rich, it's a good thing. Like, well, if everyone's rich, who's going to take out our rubbish? Robots.
Yeah.
Like humans shouldn't be doing the shitty jobs. We're too smart. Everybody's too smart, right?
So I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of people who are in the UK. They're thinking about starting a business, but they feel as though the environment and the policies not really set up to support them with their venture of starting a new business. So do you advise them to relocate, or would you advise them to, you don't necessarily need to relocate. You just need to have a slightly different approach to the way you're going to do things? Because sure, like everybody can't just leave the UK. And that would probably be an absolute disaster.
Oh, it's happening already. Everyone is leaving the UK. I think you can start a business anywhere. I think a business is really about what are you doing. So for example, in England today, if you started up an AI consultancy business, it'd do well. Population in England is 63 million people. I think population and ability to spend matters. So I worked in Hong Kong. I started a business in Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong is one of the richest countries in the world. It's the second biggest banking location in the world. It's so much money in Hong Kong, but it's actually a small market, 9.6 million people. So I started a business there, and initially there's lots of money, people will pay you properly, but there's not a big market. So I then had to go into China, Shanghai, Beijing, and build out the business and part from China business, because then you've got 1.5 billion people, right? But I think with the UK, it's like a mini America. It's a great place to start a business. This is what I would be pitching if I was in charge. I'm not sure I want to be in charge of any sort of political system, but like, I think we as the UK actually has a chance to be like a test ground for anything in America. Because when you launch in America, it's a big deal. And then if it doesn't work, well, okay, then you've got a problem. But like, you can launch in England, test things out, very similar culture to America, and if it works, scale it into America. So that's the positioning I think that the UK should take. It's like a mini America. Again, the national pride probably wouldn't let people think this way, but like, look at the UK as a great test market and then export that product to America. Because right now, what happens with the present government is like, okay, Microsoft, please come and set up in the UK. Or, big companies, Facebook, come and set up in the UK. And then basically big American companies come to the UK and they suck up all the talent, and then none of that talent gets to start their own thing. I think like anything, it's all to do with your frame of mind. If you're in the country and you know how it works better than anyone else, you can start a business. Don't worry about the tax. Pay the fucking tax. You make profit, pay tax. There's no problem. Like, I've never mind paying tax. I set up a business in Hong Kong. It was nothing to do with getting a lower tax base. I set up a business in Hong Kong because I liked living there.
Yeah.
And I liked the people. And I saw an opportunity while I was there. That's it. So I think I went and set up in Hong Kong in 1997 when Hong Kong was getting handed back by the British to the Chinese. And a lot of people left, right? They were running away from Hong Kong. Oh my God, the Chinese are taking over. Communists are taking over, right? And they left. You know what that did? It created a huge amount of opportunity in Hong Kong, because suddenly there was loads of businesses that weren't there anymore. People that weren't running those businesses anymore. So for example, I started a creative agency because all the good creative agencies shut shop and left. I think the UK has a similar opportunity. If people actually see, like, when everyone's saying run away from something, that's exactly when you should run towards it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, I've set up businesses in Hong Kong. I'm an international person, but I actually think England's a little bit undersold. And I think if it was pitched right, it could make a comeback.
Who would you like to see run the UK?
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like if you look at all the kind of people in certain roles in government, the small business secretary, for example, you know, like these people have never run a business in their
Yeah.
life. They've never worried about like cash flow in a business or like paying people, so they can lift up the national insurance as they've just done. They don't think twice about, well, that's one less person you can hire now, or that's one less, you know, growth opportunity for the business because your costs are so high. So I think people in those roles, it shouldn't be elected by the public. If I ran my company, I got 26 people working for me, and I said, right, I'm going to hire someone, the 27th person. What do you think? You know, my 11 million followers, and I love my followers, but if I asked them, who do you think I should hire? They'd be like, I don't know, head of Boaty Face, what am I, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who I know what I need to hire to make it work. The interview process should be based not on who was elected, but who's best for the job. And I think that's what's interesting about the Elon Musk thing. If you want to make efficiencies in government, Elon Musk's pretty good, I think.
He's the chief problem solver.
Exactly. And he's not scared to make the tough decisions. Again, he doesn't mind being unpopular for a while to make something work.
Yeah.
Right. So Trump's got an interesting card to play there because it's Elon's idea to cut all those jobs in government. Not my idea.
Yeah.
Don't shoot me, Elon, you know, like, and I think that's actually quite important because you need to be a bad guy, seen as a bad guy in the short term to do good things.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, my mum kicked me out of home at 15. So my mum's a bad guy, right? Best thing she ever did for me. Best thing. Like, I've got the most amazing life today, doing everything I want to do in life. I have purpose. I have meaning, all because she did something bad when I was young. Bad.
Yeah.
Right. Because pain equals success later. And America needs a reset, you know, as well. And I think they've got it. UK needs a reset. Normally resets come by war, by the way. So normally wars reset countries. So the First World War and the Second World War in the UK, it reset a bit. Like innovation was allowed to push forward, create things to win the war. Red tape was cut through, right? That's how we win the war. And I think we've just partly, luckily, not had any wars directly in the UK. But it also means things become very bureaucratic, things become very slow. There's no uniting force. Wars unite populations, right? But we don't have a uniting force. So everyone just fights with each other and then nothing gets done.
Yeah. Yeah, you need something to shake everything up.
Yeah.
COVID could have been a good opportunity to reset, but it did the absolute opposite.
Well, it was designed to create the absolute opposite feeling. Yeah, I think I always joke it'd be interesting if you said, well, aliens are coming in 20 years' time, they're going to be here to destroy us all.
Yeah.
So we better work together to like speed up automation, remove humans from slavery, jobs they don't love, that are pointless, that could be done by machines. Let that all happen. And then everyone's got a purpose to build a planet that can survive the aliens coming.
Yeah.
You know, like that would unite us. We'd have the best 20 years. The next 20 years would be amazing if we had that threat.
Yeah.
Of course, that threat would also come with its own mental health issues, I'm sure. No, it's not. But conceptually, like, we all need a purpose. I think that's my kind of message as well. Like, you individually have a purpose. Maybe you don't know it, but if you can tap into it, you can have a good life because then you've got a goal.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people in England, there's no goal.
Yeah. So speak to me about this this book. It's been long in the works. How long did it take you to put this together?
30 years. No, I spent a long time trying to think about what I could create a book-wise that would help people figure out their dream. And if they figured out their dream, how to make that dream a reality. So a lot of this book talks about like the subconscious bias that we have that people need to remove from their life. So things that we think are true that aren't true. And then help people figure out what the first steps are to making their dream a reality and try to, I mean, ultimately the end of the book is about, for me, is about like us all coming together, how we can do that. You know, what can we do together as humans to make the world a better place? It's cheesy, but I actually think it's coming together and just being kind to each other. Yeah. So I try to explain how that could play out. And you know, the overarching message for me of this book is like, if you want your dream to happen, you have to help someone else with their dream. You have to be unselfish for a little while. If you, like in my business, I want to make everybody else rich. If I make everybody else rich, then I'll be rich. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I've discovered building 19 companies. Every company that's worked for me, I made everybody in that company also rich. And everybody involved in that business rich. So it wasn't just about me getting rich. And that's the thing I think people are not realizing. If you want to get rich, you have to help someone else get rich first.
But don't you have to help yourself first before you can help other people get rich?
I don't
'Cause
think so, no.
I would have thought to begin with, you need to be a little bit selfish. And then once you've looked after yourself, you've built something for yourself, then you're in a position to help other people.
It's not been my experience.
Interesting.
I think if you actually think about your success, if you actually drilled it down, you'll find that you had good people in the business. And if you hadn't looked after those people, they wouldn't have helped you.
Well, I think actually that now that you mention it, the success I had very quickly with especially in the fitness industry was me creating videos, providing value, and helping other people.
Exactly, bingo.
So
That's what I'm talking
actually, to begin with, I wasn't making a huge amount of money, but the videos were reaching hundreds of thousands of people.
Exactly.
So I was creating the value, helping people.
If you go look back at anybody successful, you'll actually find that they created value for others before they created value for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the thing people forget. They're busy trying to create value for themselves. Again, I blame the school system for this. The education system makes you sit down and do an exam on your own, right? Everything's about you do it on your own. They divide us. The education system divides people's brains. I talk about this in the book. It stops you realizing that actually, no, we survive by being a tribe. Maybe today it's a digital tribe, right? But a community. That's 1 + 1 = 11. It's not possible to achieve it on your own. It's not possible. The people that are successful are little mini armies. That you're trying to do it on your own. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
You might break through. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. There are companies that are just purely selfish. Tobacco companies, for example. I think these companies they're evil businesses. Do you want to be an owner of a tobacco company? I definitely don't want to be I met someone recently who was third generation wealth from tobacco business. I don't want to hang out with them. Like, if it's not even their business, I don't want to. Third generation, I don't want to hang out with them. Like, your family made all their money poisoning people and didn't tell them you were poisoning them. Like, brilliant. That's your legacy, is it?
Yeah.
But I think that, yes, you can do evil things and be selfish and make money. But I think the people that are actually happy, enlightened, and enjoy their success have often done something for other people before they got rich themselves.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through a couple of quotes which you have teased to the audience, at least of your Instagram account, which everybody should follow. Success is not guaranteed by hard work alone.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
A lot of people think that working hard equals success, right? We hear it all the time. The harder I work, the luckier I get. It's such a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a dangerous lie. I've seen people burn out just working, especially men. I see a lot of men like literally burn themselves out, not sleep, always working. It's not a good way to live. And it's not how success works, right? Again, it's a team sport. Success is a team sport. You have to pass the baton to someone else so you can sleep, right? You literally need to have an army around you. I think the reality is the more risk you take, the luckier you get. So people need to learn to take one big risk a day. And that could be walking up to someone and saying, would you like to go out on a date? You know, like practice that risk muscle. You know, knock on a door and try and sell something. You know, like whatever the feeling of risk is to you, put a video up that might be embarrassing. Take a risk. You know, every day take a risk and build up that risk muscle, because risk is where success comes. Every single day, if you take a risk, a year from now, you'll have some sort of success. If it's dating, you'll probably find the right partner. If it's like sales, you'll probably get a sale. You know, take risk. And I think working hard is a distraction, often peddled by big companies that kind of want you to work hard. Turn out, work hard, and one day you'll get a promotion. One day you'll get more money. Fuck that. Don't wait for them to give it to you. Take it by taking risk.
Yeah. But is there not, could you not argue that sometimes the dream that they have or the risk that they want to take is verging on stupidity a little bit?
Give me an example.
Because you could have a dream, but it could be like, you speak to them and be like, it's a nice concept that you have, but that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Have you ever said that to somebody where they told you their dream and you're just like, this is,
yeah. I get your point. I get a lot of people who say this, like, oh, someone said to me the other day, a very successful person who said to me, oh, that lady who wanted to start a restaurant, oh, that's a bad business. Restaurant business is really bad. I personally invested in 3 restaurants. Restaurants are the only businesses I've lost money in ever. So part of me was like, my own survival bias was like, you're right, it's a tough business. But it's not my dream, it's theirs. And here's the thing, That person who has that dream to open a restaurant, loves cooking, wants to entertain people, their pleasure comes from serving up the food and seeing the expression on someone's face, right?
Did you not have that?
Well, I invested in a restaurant. I wasn't running it.
Okay, yeah.
So that pleasure wasn't mine. I was just backing someone else's restaurant.
Yeah.
You see, so I think ironically, the restaurants I invested in, if I look back at my examples there, each of the people I invested in didn't really care about serving food to someone. They were operators, all three of them. They weren't chefs, right? That's the mistake I made, because what I'm getting to is like my success could be different to what your definition of success is. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make when they review someone else's dream. Someone else's dream, like example, because I'm famous now, right? But some people are like, oh, I'd hate that. That don't do social media. Oh no, I wouldn't want to do that. So they might advise someone if they want to be, an influencer, don't do it, because that's their own pleasure syndrome playing against them. That's not what they want. They don't want to own a restaurant. And maybe that person who said to me, don't open up a restaurant, they are thinking about how to make money.
Yeah.
It's a distraction from how to create pleasure in your life. Right? That person wants to open a restaurant because they want to serve amazing food to people. And often, by the way, they're the restaurants that end up doing really well.
Yeah.
Because people are actually enjoying the experience, and then people go there, and then the restaurant makes a lot of money. It's the ones that go in there with a commercial structure to things that fail.
Yeah, they don't care as much.
Exactly. And you see it when restaurants get sold to big VCs.
Yeah, or
and
they
stuff.
get franchised
You can
out.
slowly see the love go.
Yeah.
And all these restaurants end up dying. They start off really popular. I think TGI's, for example, the original TGI's, like, thank God it's Friday, let's go out for a nice meal. And then they sold it, and now no one wants to go there because you walk in, it's very, plastic menus, clinical dishes, it's no personality anymore.
Well, that's why In-N-Out is so successful, because it's still privately owned.
Exactly. And I think the quicker you come up, the quicker you come down. And something like In-N-Out is a good example. Like, they're slowly. McDonald's seem to be the big one. I reckon in 20 years' time, they'll be bigger than McDonald's.
Yeah.
But it's a sustainable growth, family owned. They want to create a product that people enjoy, an experience that people enjoy.
Simple menu.
Yeah. I think, again, it's not the healthiest of food, so I'm not going to promote it. But conceptually, like, the people behind it, they've been offered billions for the brand, and they've said no. Right? There's something really powerful in saying no to money.
Yeah.
And focusing in on the purpose.
Yeah. When you have a dream, you don't count the hours, you make every hour count.
Yeah, exactly. So am I working now or not? I don't know. Am I working? I have no idea. How long is this going to take? I have no idea. I don't mind how long it takes, because I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm on a mission to fix the education system, to free people from modern day slavery, in my opinion, and let them do what they love. Right? I don't care how many hours it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like sleep. Personally, I know myself. I like sleep. I like exercise. So I need those things as part of my cycle of life. But how many hours I work really doesn't matter to me. I don't think I've ever counted how many hours. I don't think any of my team have. My team all here, right? I don't know. You guys ever count your hours? Yeah. How many hours do you work this week, Joe? No idea, right? Yeah. I don't know. Me and Dudley were in Bangkok last week. It was 1 o'clock in the morning in Bangkok. I mean, I didn't hear Dudley say, Simon, I clock off at 5, mate. What the fuck? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're in the middle of Bangkok. What the hell's happening, right? We're driving through
Tuk-tuk.
Tuk-tuk, thanks. TikToks. Tuk-tuks all the way through Bangkok, like, literally, it's time only becomes important when you sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't sell time. Buy time. This is the trick they don't teach you. If you're selling time, time becomes the thing you look at all the time. So people on 40-hour contracts or selling an hour here, don't sell time. Why would you undervalue yourself and just sell time? Your experience has to be about, like, the outcome that you produce to things. Then time isn't important. Like, I can make £10,000 by working for 5 minutes. Why would I restrict myself by selling 5 minutes? Because I could also earn 20, like, don't sell time. People are trained to sell time. Why? Because the teachers in school are selling time, right? Most people are selling time. So you as a kid learn how much you're going to get paid an hour, right? You shouldn't be thinking that way. If you want to be free, sell outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And then time becomes insignificant as far as, like, monitoring it is concerned.
One more. Purpose is the heart, pumping blood and maintaining the beat. It charges your battery and keeps you going.
Mm-hmm. It's a secret source that people don't know about. And again, the reason is, if I say you've got to have a purpose, there's a whole slew of people that were like, oh, forget purpose, just make money, like just figure out a market gap and go and make money. That's it. But what I think the word purpose is too fluffy, and I want to make it cool, because if you actually spend time thinking about what your purpose is, like you said earlier, right? You felt the need to share your knowledge on fitness with people, so you followed that natural instinct in you, because everyone has a purpose, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
And then you followed through on that purpose, and that led to where you are now, right? In this beautiful apartment, you look healthy, clearly enjoying what you're doing, but it started from that like natural feeling of purpose. Now, you have to get out of fight or flight to be able to feel this. But if you can tap into purpose, again, like, I don't need to work. I don't need to work. I don't earn any money for the rest of my life. I've got enough money. I don't need to earn any more money. So what makes me get up every day and go for it, right? It's that feeling that if I don't do what I'm doing, people are going to be in pain. People aren't going to enjoy their life like I know they could. I have to do it for my son, who's 7, and I want to make him proud. For myself, because I want to be useful and I want to be seen. And for the people out there that I know could be living a better life and maybe even solve some of the world's biggest problems if they're set free, right? I have to do it. And that's what purpose does for you. Whereas if I say, I notice there's a market gap for like a British entrepreneur who makes content in America. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm trying to fill a gap, but it has no fucking purpose. You die.
Yeah.
By the way, this is why a lot of people that start YouTube stop. They start YouTube. A lot of YouTubers have stopped, right? Because they actually start it and then they don't actually have a purpose behind the channel, and then they just stop one day. Whereas if you've got a purpose, I don't care what the views are this week. I don't look at the views this week and say, oh, it's not working anymore, I'll do something else. I'm like, well, less people got the knowledge this week, so we'll just have to work harder to make sure next week people get the knowledge.
We'll get back to the podcast in a second, but first of all, I want to say a massive shout out to Bionic. I have been using their supplements for the past 4 years. I never knew what supplements I needed to take. I'd always go into the pharmacy and buy a load of random bottles and end up popping pills all day, every day, not having a clue if I was consuming the vitamins which I should be consuming at all. But Bionic came to save the day. They are a tailor-made supplement company that will put together your own specific formula based on your activity, your gender. I have Bionic Pro, where I get the blood test done every 3 to 4 months, and based on that blood test, I get my own personalized formula. For those people who don't want to do a blood test or don't have access to that, then you can go with Bionic Go, where you just have to fill in a short questionnaire, and based on that questionnaire, you will get your tailored supplements with a surprisingly high degree of accuracy. So stop the guesswork, sign up to Bionic, and ensure that you remove those deficiencies and build up your immune system.
That's it.
It's true. I've noticed it myself when I've taken a bit of time out or I've gone traveling and I don't maybe put out as many podcasts, or I'm not putting out as many informative videos. I kind of just feel like, what am I doing? Like, what's the point? Like, there is, I wouldn't say that I get depressed, but my level of life satisfaction and happiness tends to go down when I feel like I'm not doing the thing which I'm supposed to be doing. When I'm in a very fortunate opportunity where I can now help a lot of people. Like, I have finances behind me to create content. I have the time to create content, and I've got the knowledge and the access to a lot of well-educated, successful people that I can also help to bring them in and share their knowledge. And I feel like when I'm not doing that, I'm not doing my duty and I'm not fulfilling my purpose. And it makes me feel pretty terrible.
Yeah. Well, in humans, one of the problems today, I think that people don't realize is a problem for them, is life's a bit too comfortable. And if you can stay in your mum's spare room and get some shit job and you can scroll on your phone, life's not awful, but life's not great. People cruise there. Fucking dangerous. Like, again, I thank my mum for kicking me out. She didn't do it to help me, in fairness, but she did accidentally help me. And I think that's what people need to do for themselves. They need to put themselves in a position where they grow. They need to have the pain. And actually, ironically, when I made a lot of money, that was also the most depressing part of my life. About 7 years ago, I had depression. And I never experienced depression really. And I had it because suddenly, trying to make it is also like the stages, right? The first stage is, like we said earlier, you do have to make money to survive.
Yeah.
Because you can't come out of fight or flight unless you've got your rent covered and you've got food bills paid, right? You can't come out of fight or flight unless you've got those covered, because you just need to hunt. All you think about is hunting, because you're going to starve if you don't. But if you can just get the food on the table and then breathe, allow your brain to come out of fight or flight, that allows you to develop the next stage, which I think is like tribal. And tribal is, I have to do something for my tribe. I have to contribute to my community in any way that you can. Right? There's a guy on TikTok, he kind of says nice things to people as they walk into supermarkets and stuff. Have you seen, he opens doors for people, and like he's just really polite to people. I really like his content. And so clearly his thing is just like, how can I bring joy to people? All he does is make TikToks of like, well, good morning, how are you? So nice to see you. And he opens the door for people, you know, like, I think once you can figure out what brings you joy and you can turn it into a business, then you win both ways. You're happy and you bring value to society, which ultimately will bring you money. Right? Maybe not initially. People chase money too quick. But if you bring value to society, it will always find a way of repaying you. But if you try to take from society, you'll get penalized over time.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's what people need to tap into more. You know, that kind of like, okay, I'm out of fight or flight now. What is my purpose? There might be some people listening now that might say, okay, so I've got to work for the next 6 months to get out of fight or flight, right? They're in. I'm like, no, why don't you just pretend for a minute? Just sit down, close your eyes, and pretend for just 10 minutes that you've got £1 million cash sitting in your bank account. Just imagine, manifest it for a minute. Just believe it. Really make yourself believe it. It will allow you to come out of fight or flight. And at the end of that 10 minutes of thinking you've got £1 million, really believe it. And then say, right, I've got all the money I need. What would I do? Right? What would I do? And if you can, it might not work right away. Try to do it every day, but something will come into your mind. Like, if I have all the money in the world, what would I do? And if you can just come out of fight or flight and think about that, then if you do think it, if you know what it is, whatever it is, then try to build a business model around it and try to make it happen.
Yeah. It was the same thing with me. The only thing I really cared about was just the gym. I just wanted to be in the gym. I wanted to do anything revolving around the gym. And fortunately, I was able to make a career out of it.
But you went the right path. And again, people listening don't realize this. They get sidetracked with drop shipping and make money and products, and they don't start at the basic level of what's their purpose, because it's too fluffy. But it shouldn't be. It should be like what you ask yourself. Because if you figure it out, once you're doing it, something you love every day, it's sustainable, and then you can build on top. Right? So you started in the gym, and then you launch products, and you can build on top. And I think that's what people don't realize, because we're not taught this at school on purpose.
Yeah.
The school deliberately does not teach us this stuff. School teaches us exactly the opposite to what we actually need to do in the world, right? Sit down and shut up. No, don't sit down and shut up. Whatever you do, don't sit down and shut up. Sit down and do it on your own. Whatever you do, don't do it on your own. For God's sake, you've got teams working. You won't win if you do it on your own. You know, like, learn from this textbook and believe everything this textbook says. Fucking don't do that. That textbook was written by someone who has bias. You make your own judgment. Question everything. Exactly the opposite to what the school system teaches us. And when I say this, common sense, when we're in school, we don't realize it. And when we come out of school, it's in our subconscious. So again, I've tried to tell people this in the book to hopefully wake people up.
What's your experience been over the past couple of months collaborating with a lot of successful entrepreneurs like Patrick Bet-David, Alex Hormozi? You've been creating content on your channel where you go through the blueprints to success or whatever it might be. What has your experience of been collaborating with them?
One of the other things I really love about entrepreneurship is that you never stop learning. See, people think that starting a business is risky. It's not risky. It's what it is it's intense learning. So it feels risky. Like, I didn't know this and I didn't know that and I didn't know this, I didn't know. But that's exciting. And going to see all these people, like, I've been in business 35 years. I know I look younger, but I've been in business a long time. I started my first company at 15 years old, right? Like, I've been doing it a long time. I've invested in 79 businesses. You know, I've started personally 19 companies. Like, I built a massive social media following up. I know how it all works, but there's so much I don't know. And I think when I sit with people, there's two things I notice about, like, Alex Hormozi, Patrick Bet-David, Luke Belmar as well, is the energy. The energy is another level, right? So I actually also have this, I think. It's like, if you want to be successful, hang out with people like this, because it's kind of infectious too. Like, if you're not quite sure what you want in life, and like, you meet someone that knows what they're doing and where they're going, Jesus Christ, you either won't be able to handle it, You'll go back in your hole, or you'll fucking wake up.
Yeah.
And I love hanging out with people like Patrick Bet-David and Alex Hormozi. Again, these people have like, people hate them, people like them. I don't really care. You go hang out with them. That's how you find out about people for real.
Yeah.
Right? Like Alex Hormozi, I see him online and stuff. I like nearly everything he says. I like him even more when I meet him, like another level. Yeah. And there's some people online saying, oh, he's a scammer, he's doing this. No, go meet him. Go meet his team. Go meet how he treats his people. You know, go have a meal with him and see how respectful he is to a waiter. You know, go see what these people are actually doing. You know, Patrick Bet-David too. A lot of people hate him now, right, because of his Trump support. But you go sit with him and you're like, first of all, there's an intensity that I think everyone should get to, and then there's a deep knowledge that even for me, I feel like I sit there and I'm learning in these podcasts, right? The fact that I put it out for other people to listen to, selfish me, part of me is like, I enjoy learning from these people. And that's how I get better. You know, knives in a drawer rubbing together get sharper, right? So like, I want to hang out with the people that are doing even better than me.
Yeah.
And I want to know how I can be better. And so by hanging out with those folks, I learn.
What was the number one thing you learned from Patrick?
I think sometimes it reinforces what I already know. So Patrick in particular, think big. Got to think, why not think big? He's thinking so big. Like people don't understand how big he's thinking long term, investing in the future. Like we did this mind map thing where he showed what he's doing now, right? With his millions of followers and what he's trying to do. And then he plotted out all the things he's going to do. And literally I'm like, it's going to be bigger than Disney, you know? Mm-hmm. It's going to be a massive, massive company that has massive, massive impact. I have the same, by the way. I have a big vision for what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to like partly do what the government should be doing, like bring a new education system to the forefront of people's lives, right? Give them a chance to be their own boss, own their own lives, own their own time, right? My vision is big. I think the thing I take away from Alex and I take away from Patrick is their visions are big. Like people can't quite comprehend. Just by seeing them on the For You page, you might just think they're podcasters.
Yeah.
Some big stuff these people are planning to do. And I, my opinion, really positive for society as well. Like they've made their money. They don't need money. Once you can remove money from the equation and you're like legacy, partly, purpose for yourself to get you up in the morning and go, and also to leave something behind for your kids. Like I want my son to grow up in a better world, right? The world right now, he's living in a worse time than when I was 7. You know, I think now is worse for him than when I was 7.
Yeah.
There was no distractions for me as a kid. I just played, right? Now today, he's like literally got a phone in his hand at 5 and play this, you know, like all his friends are playing some crappy game, right? So I think that
he's based in the UK. He's going to school in the UK.
We homeschool.
Oh, homeschool, yeah.
Which I love, by the way.
Yeah.
Homeschool's really misunderstood. We probably can't go into it now, but I wish your audience, if your audience think homeschool is this weird isolation of a kid not learning normally, it's like freedom. Because my kid lives like we live. He gets up in the morning, he reads the paper, he has a bit of breakfast, he goes and runs around the garden playing a bit of football, chasing the dog, take the dog for a walk, and then one of his friends comes over for lunch, plays some games with his friends, and in the afternoon he has a little nap and reads his book, and you know, like he lives like a normal person. We actually think school's normal, that you put 30 kids in a classroom all day long together.
Yeah.
All the same age, by the way. That's not normal either. Because in tribalism, you've got like 4-year-old with an 11-year-old, and they regulate each other, right? So my son plays with older kids and younger kids. It regulates you. You're not meant to be all 6 years old in a classroom, 30 of you together for a day. Anyway, I could go on about homeschooling all day long because I've been doing this a while now.
Does the teacher come round to the house?
So the short answer is yes. But the basic thing is, what does my son love the most? My son personally loves maths and numbers. He's obsessed with Roman numerals and Roman history and that whole thing. So we get him a tutor to help with the thing he loves. And he's getting so good at that area, right? You could ask him anything about history, how long a queen lived, how long a king lived, when they died, how they died. And he just retains because it's something he's interested in.
Yeah.
And I think that's where education should be going. It should be tailoring it to what the kid is interested in. The present system just tries to one size fits all. You're no good at biology, so you need to double down on biology. But I don't really like biology. I don't want to double down on biology, right? And where's the podcast training or the media communications training?
They're so important.
My son, 7 years old, right? and a lot of people won't like me saying this. I'll get some hate for this, right? But he comes with me on TikTok Live, and he's talking to people on TikTok Live. It's like, hi guys, hi fatherhood, hi Richard, my community are on there. It's like, how are you? What's going on? And then they'll ask a question, and he'll like, what are you doing today? Oh, today I'm doing some painting of Henry VIII. He used to be thin. He wasn't always fat. But he's talking to, he's communicating the way the world's going. At 7 years old.
That was one of the biggest things that was holding me back. It took until the age of 26, 27, where I forced myself to get better at public speaking and media training and how to, present myself in front of a camera, because I'd never had any of that training. And because it was originally a fear of mine, it was a weakness of mine, it just stopped me from doing all the things which I wanted to do and knew I needed to do in order to get to where I wanted to go to.
But the weird thing is you're really good at it.
I was so bad.
But what I'm saying is your listeners now, some people won't realize they're really good at something, but they haven't done it. So there might be someone listening right now, for example, who's really brilliant at golf. They might be really brilliant at golf, but what school in England is teaching people to play golf?
Yeah.
Right? So you got to be lucky. You need a parent that spots it, or you need to get a golf club in your hand younger. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are missing out on their natural abilities and natural opportunities because they're not exposed to those things. So what I like about homeschooling is you literally say to the kid, what is it you want to do today? And you follow their natural enjoyment path. And that leads to, again, purpose, which leads to focus. So you can't get my son off a book that talks about history. I couldn't stop. I actually tell him, we got to stop reading this book now. We've got to go out and get some food. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Daddy, just let me finish this. Because he's following his interests. Whereas the school system, deliberately, in my opinion, makes you hate learning. Right? It makes you, oh God, I don't want, and it doesn't expose you to what you're probably naturally good at.
Yeah, it's very true. I've noticed that you are embarking on a new fitness journey of yours.
Yeah, thanks for liking that post. Yeah, so I was saying to my team, like, we have goals every year in the team, and my goal last year was to make my platform sustainable. So it can't just be Simon Squibb pouring money in to make it work. I want it to pay for itself, so that if I die, it lives. Yeah. So I want people's dreams funded from the income that we generate from the videos, right? So we can fund people's dreams with the income from the videos and sponsors. So beginning of last year, my whole thing was business sustainability. I wanted to, now it's profitable, and we're now able to build the business up because of it. This year for me, I'm setting my goal. Number one goal is personal health. And again, I'm going to do it through content. So I'm over 10 kilos overweight, my ideal weight, and I'm going to get back into shape. And so I'm documenting. I was a bit embarrassed actually to put it online initially, because I'm like, do I want to share that I'm, what if I don't do it? Same sort of fear that everyone has. But I posted it. I'm like, I am overweight. I am going to do something about it, and I'm going to hold myself accountable for it. And I think it's important to share that. I think in business, a lot of the time, people do focus too much on making money and not enough on looking after their health. Yeah. And I have done that. I think I know that health, without it, I can't keep building business for the next 30, 40 years if I don't start taking care of myself now. Yeah. So yeah.
And you're not mentally like fired up, and although it seems like you are, but imagine what you would be like if your nutrition was completely dialed, your training was on point.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, I genuinely think I'm a high performer, even though I don't think my diet is perfect, and I don't think I exercise enough. So yeah, I mean, part of it is also performance. I want to be in the best shape of my life, and I'm working on the most important thing I've ever worked on. I've never felt more motivated. But I think one thing about making content and traveling the world, helping with people's dreams, is particularly travel. I travel a lot right now. That does muck up my food cycle, because when I'm at home, I eat quite well. My wife is a great cook. She looks after me. She makes food. I actually, when I'm at home, eat well. If it's when I travel, and
I'm the same. It completely throws everything out of whack. And then when I'm here, everything's extremely convenient, so it doesn't feel like hard work. But then the moment that I travel, obviously it's dependent upon where I'm going. But all of a sudden, I'm like, that I have to put so much effort into like finding a gym or finding where I can eat that has healthy food options. Some cities make it very easy. Other places, it's really difficult.
There's probably a business in that, by the way, for your listeners listening, a travel app that keeps you on track and allows you, maybe even meals still get delivered to you in your hotel room. Or like, I find just food is the main problem for me, because exercise is okay. It's just like, right, what am I going to eat today? And of course, going out, like last night we went out for dinner, beautiful restaurant, but
You don't know what's in that
exactly.
food, yeah.
And I think that eating at home, when you're traveling, is a little bit harder because you're in a hotel room with no kitchen. Right. So like I'm staying in a hotel room with no kitchen. So I can't even make myself food, even if I wanted to. So I think, there's probably a business in that,
Yeah.
helping someone sort that out.
How have things changed for you personally over the past like 8-9 months? I mean, your social media's blown up. Now you're a very recognizable face. So how has that, first of all, how has that affected the videos which you're making when you're asking people what their dream is? And second of all, how have you just found dealing with it, being recognized more often?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really weird. I am famous. I did a LinkedIn post a little while ago and said, I am famous. And people in the comments, no, you're not. No, you're not. The fame is really ultimately, more people know you and you know them. I never really knew what fame was. I never really understood fame. Okay, I see a movie star like Tom Hanks. Okay, he's famous, right? But for what? Acting in a movie. So I've never experienced fame, and I thought I knew what it was, but now I know what it is. And it basically is a connection between you and someone that's watching your content. And you think about like social media is a new thing, really. If I got to know you, it's normally through tribalism. So we live together, I see you every day, and I make a connection with you. But social media has created that connection without you having never met me. So if someone's consuming my content, they get to know me, right? Because I do behind the scenes, I do real Simon Squibb, I do the actual dreams, I do the YouTube videos. If you watch all of that content, if you get more than 60 hours of me in your brain, you know me now. You feel a connection to me, right? So I feel it when people come up to me, that they know me. Their instinct is to hug me, by the way. Of course, that's an intrusion, so people don't do it. But I find the energy really quite fascinating. Look, people come up to me like they know me, and maybe because I'm doing this at a slightly older age, like I don't mind it. I actually quite like people. And when people come up to me and like someone the other day was like literally shaking my hand off, thank you for the content, it's inspired me and made me think about what my dream is. And I don't know, I get a buzz from that, The danger of the fame side is ego, where, in restaurants you snap your fingers or you start thinking you're something special. I'm old enough to know myself at this point in my life. Like, this is a privilege that people come up to me like this. So I take it that way. The only downside is when people cross the line, like people are knocking on my door at my home, right? Some people have been sending me letters to my home, and that stuff, my wife...
How do they know?
Well, do you know what? It's quite scary. Like, I've actually had to get security and stuff beef up my security at home. I think people just find a way. I think people should not do that. There's a line to be crossed. I mean, mainly because my wife's an introvert, so I'm okay with it. Actually, if someone knocks on my door, I'm not scared. How you doing, mate? I don't mind. But my wife gets scared. So it's her personality is different to mine. She didn't sign up to have that. I signed up to have that. So if I'm in the street, it's my fault. I signed up to do this, and I don't mind it, right? But my son didn't necessarily sign up to do it. So if I'm with my son, maybe people should respect the boundary and not interrupt me. But equally, like, my wife does not deserve that. You shouldn't be knocking on my door. But that being said, again, like the fame thing, I don't think no one should chase fame. Please, if you're listening to this, take one thing from this podcast. Like, don't chase fame. Chase purpose. If being famous allows you to deliver on helping everyone get fit or helping everyone learn about themselves, then get famous, because the mission will be more important. The fame actually restricts you. Like, I actually have to really think now when I go out. I have to be really, I bring my son, where should I go? I have to be very careful, right?
Put a disguise on.
Yeah, no, I went recently to, I won't say the country because I don't want to make it sound like I'm slacking off a country, but I went to a country, I was actually scared of getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
Like,
people know you have, because you've said, I have made my money.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
people know you have money.
Yeah. So, but the social proof is like, you listen to people whose lives you want, right? So I have to describe my life so people understand where I'm coming from. I like being married. I like being with one woman. I like being dedicated to one woman. I like building a business with purpose. These are the values I have, and this is the life I have. So if you're going to listen to me, you need to know, because if you listen to me, you're going to end up with my life, right? So if you want a different life, if you want an Andrew Tate life, go listen to Andrew Tate, right? If you want that, on the run all the time, if you want that life, listen to him, because that's you'll end up becoming the person whose advice you take.
Yeah,
right. I think but I think there's a whole strange thing where the fame side, the dark side of it, I don't mind so much if people perhaps moderate themselves, but the impact you can have with fame is incredible. Like the amount of people we're reaching 300 million people every 30 days. So 300 million people. So the person in the video gets all that support and love. Like yesterday we did a video, I've suddenly forgotten her name. Yesterday we did a video, Emma Wills. In 24 hours, that video's got 26 million views, right?
Oh.
1 million views every hour. Almost,
This is the combined numbers from different platforms.
Instagram and TikTok combined, right? Her personal social media has got a couple of 100,000 followers now. Her dream was to be an influencer in fashion, right? There you go. She's now an influencer in fashion.
Yeah.
Done.
Bam.
In 24 hours. That is so rewarding. I can't like, she was about to get on a bus after doing a shift job she hates, right? And by taking 3 minutes out of my day, asking her what her dream is and putting it on my platform, I can give her what she wants. I can help her. Now, it's still up to her, right? She wants to be a fashion designer, a video blogger. She has to do all of that. That's still her job. I can help her. My community, my team, we can all help her get there quicker and give her like belief in herself, because she didn't believe in herself, in my opinion. She didn't think it was possible. She said her dream, but she said it in a way it was like, but I know it will never happen. You know when people tell you something? Like, I'd love to get fit, but I've just got no time. And you just know people aren't believing it's going to happen, although they have an ambition. And I think, I like the fact that we can help one person like that. But also, it's the people that watch the videos. People all over the world now asking themselves, if Simon came up to me and asked me, what would my dream be? Like you said earlier, I knew you were going to ask me that, right? I like that. That's what schools should be doing. It should be making you critically think. We've made hundreds of millions of people critically think. Like, ask a question about themselves. Well, what is my dream? And that's the first step to getting there, even if you don't have the answer.
Yeah.
So that side of fame really excites me, because I think we can, I think I have more following than the whole, Nigel Farage was like, I've got 1 million followers on TikTok. Well, that's nothing, Nigel. I've got 5.5, mate. Like, it doesn't, and by the way, it doesn't matter about following. It matters about how the videos impact the people that watch the videos.
Yeah.
So when Nigel Farage is slagging off everything, it's not a positive thing. He's got a good following.
Yeah.
I think the content that we're trying to produce is showing normal people trying to make their dreams happen and helping them make it happen as a community.
That's what the news should be about. Imagine if the news was just like positive.
We said this yesterday. It's funny you said that. Yeah. I have this theory that every day 100,000 people get delivered one good idea. And it's like an experiment to see who actually executes on that idea. Because yesterday, that's what we said as a team. Why don't we do a news feed that is nothing but positive things about what great things have happened in the world?
Yeah.
Right. And people have tried to do this in print, by the way. There was positive news. It didn't work. But that's a print newspaper. I think digital now, you don't, it's probably worth a try.
Yeah.
But I think, if you Ben on my team here, when he joined 2 years ago, I went through his social media feed to see what he's looking at. And he's looking at football, which is a bit like, oh, my team won, my team lost. There's an element of like highs and lows, depression from the content. And the rest of it is just junk.
Yeah.
Junk content. So it's just like what you eat. I think if you watch the wrong stuff, you're going to like fall into conspiracy theories. You're going to like think the world's against you. You're going to think you're in the UK, you've got a disadvantage. Like, that's going to make it true, right? Whereas actually, probably if you live in the UK right now, in reality, in the big picture of things, you've got an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's running away from the UK. There's an opportunity for you now, right? I think that you've got to consume content that makes you realize your potential. You've got to consume content that makes you realize you can do anything, fires you up in a good way, not just motivationally, but like long-term, like gets you like thinking about what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And so back to the fame thing. I wouldn't recommend it for people unless you have a purpose, because I actually think my life is worse personally since I'm famous, but my impact is higher. So it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And people should keep that in mind, because you don't want, a lot of people tell me they want to be famous. Be careful with that, right? If you're famous and broke, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
You want to be famous for a reason. Like the actors and stuff, I've never personally cared about actors. People are like, oh, it's Tom Hanks. I don't care. If Tom Hanks made a difference in the world, I'd be interested in talking to him. But if he just acted in a film, I don't really care.
Yeah.
That sort of fame to me is pointless fame.
And you never really know them deep down. You don't know the real.
Because they're characters as well.
Yeah.
That's even worse. Like, I mean,
And I think they strategically like don't do podcasts and interviews because
it might affect their character revenue. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah, but again, I don't. I'm trying to think of actors that have actually done something meaningful. That's why I love Ricky Gervais, by the way. He's the only famous person I like because, you know, he makes people laugh. I think that's a brilliant talent. And I just love the whole, like, you know, collect your award and fuck off. You know,
that speech he did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, collect your little award at the award ceremony he's a host for, and then get the fuck off stage. Because it's true, you know, the people will make political statements about, like, we've got to reduce the greenhouse gases in the private jet that they flew in.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think you've got to, I think the influencers of the future that are going to be, in my opinion, really successful influencers are ones that are actually making a difference in the world. I think that's why Elon has done so well.
Yeah.
In reality, you can hate him or you can love him. I personally think he's trying to do good.
So do I. And I can't believe how much hate he does get. It's like, this guy is the only guy that seems to actually be making a big difference with the fortune that he has. Like the advancement that his company SpaceX has made, you know, when they literally caught that rocket to be able to reuse it again.
I know.
NASA has not done anything near as close to that.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I think the problem is, I get a lot of hate, by the way, and I struggled with it in the first few years. Like, why? What? A lot of people like, oh, this is all fake. He's just doing it for himself. It really, I'm not gonna lie. I used to like not sleep at night. You know, really got quite upset at the beginning. Like, I'm just trying to help people with their dream. You know, like, yes, hopefully I can make money so I can hire people and I can grow it. You know, I believe in for profit for good. I don't want to be a charity. I want to do something. But I think that hate thing is really interesting. I bet a lot of people aren't doing what they're meant to do because they're scared of hate.
Yeah.
But I think hate is interesting because a lot of the people that used to hate me have become some of my biggest fans now. I think if you're consistent and you're true, in the end, you win. I think with Elon, let's see what happens. I have faith that, but you have to do hard things to make, like I was saying earlier, if I took over the government, I wouldn't be the most popular prime minister for a few years because there's some changes that need to be made that don't instantly make me popular, but you've got to like make a decision and fix things. And sometimes fixing things, like with Twitter, like Elon Musk got himself into a lot of trouble, 80 people fired, right? I actually think he made some mistakes about how he went about that, because that is people's lives and he just cuts them. By the way, it helps my narrative because you can work at a company for 10 years and they're just going to cut you. That's it. So start your own business, right? But I think he could have done that nicer. There's always better ways to do things. Maybe time was a problem, just cutting people. And I think they sent emails to them, right? You're out, leave today. Sort of thing. So there's always better ways to do things. But I think there needs to be like someone like Elon in the world right now that's a bit, doesn't mind being hated to make change happen. And I guess, you know, it's how you play out as you get more powerful. Because like I see people that were depressed and then they get money, they get more depressed. I've seen people who are happy and get more money. They can actually be happy with money. I think the sometimes more power you get, what happens to you. So Elon is going through that next level right now, in my opinion. Like, what will that make him? You know, the evil genius that everyone's scared he might be.
That was all part of his master plan.
Yeah. I mean, Patagonia. I don't know if you ever found a story of Patagonia. You know, the guy built a brand where it was all about like, don't buy this jacket. Right? Because, you know, do you really need another jacket sort of thing? And this jacket will last you forever. You don't need to buy two, right? And everyone thought it was just a marketing gimmick. And then eventually he sold his company and he gave all the money for $3 billion, and he gave his money to like helping fix the world's biggest problems. That to me is a full legacy scope, right? So you like, same for me. I have a mission to help people. Well, time will tell. Those people that hated me 5 years ago have become my biggest fans because I am delivering. Right. And so skepticism does die away as humans get more exposed to the truth. But of course, there's always going to be slight reflection of yourself. If people hate you, sometimes they hate themselves. Yeah. Right. Because they see me doing something and they're not doing something. Like I know a lot of very rich people that are doing nothing right now. They're just, some of them are in Dubai, just on their boat, chilling out. Why would I do what Simon's doing? I'm cause all that work for myself and, you know, no thanks. I'll just play golf today, right? But they could make a big difference in this world, these people. So I think sometimes you need to just, what's the word? I think people should actually look for hate because it means you stand for something.
Yeah. If you have an opinion, you're always going to get people who agree or disagree.
Yeah. I say the school system's broken and we've got to fix it. And people are like, oh God, that's awful. You know, teachers are working so hard today. How can you say that? I'm not blaming the teachers, am I?
Yeah.
But I get a lot of hate. They're like, you're saying the teachers are rubbish. No, I didn't. I said the school system's deliberately trapping people into going to university because university is a business. And then once they're in university and they're in debt, hopefully, then they have to get a job, right? Good. They have to do all these jobs that create GDP for a country and help companies get richer, right? By you selling time and them selling outcomes. So, I'm not talking about the teachers, am I? So they need to listen to the full length of my interview or my point before they jump in with, you're saying you hate teachers and teachers are doing a bad job. No, I didn't say that. So sometimes people misunderstand, and some people haven't done their deep dive into what's actually happened. I think with Elon Musk, a lot of people haven't done their deep dive on him either. If you actually look at the outcome of a lot of what he's working on, he did release the patent on the electric car battery. So he could have held that patent.
Yeah.
But he didn't. So what does that tell you? It tells you that he wants that electric car industry to work. Whether it's him or someone else, he wants it to work. Otherwise, he'd hold on to the patent. So the only reason all these other electric car companies are now doing well is because he released the patent. So if you look at the detail, the sentiment, now that might change. The more power he gets, there is a chance the power corrupts, right? There is a chance. I think he's too smart for that, though.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've ruffled a few feathers in the government, the UK government, by the things you said?
I don't think so. Maybe this podcast will. I always look at governments as not necessarily the enemy, because a lot of people in the government, the individuals, can be quite proactive, good people. And I met Keir Starmer, and I asked him his dream, and his reaction was very robotic. So again, I need to meet someone before I make any judgment call. So I met him, I asked him his dream. It was very much, well, it's obvious, isn't it? I want to, and I haven't met the real him.
Yeah.
And I feel that when I see him on stage talking, it's not the real him. I mean, with Boris Johnson, with all his flaws, and I'm not a fan of Boris Johnson, but at least you see him, I think that's why people like Trump as well.
Yeah, because he's himself.
Yeah, he'll sit for 3 hours on Joe Rogan and, he will say mad things, but at least it's him.
Yeah.
It's not managed or curated or some sentence where it's like, I want to help people.
Yeah.
I really care about people. You're like, do you really, man? Do you like? So I think I don't want to ruffle feathers with the government. That's not my mission. In fact, I pitched to the government in the UK, let's take job centres that are doomy, gloomy, broken things.
They are very depressing.
And make them dream centres.
Yeah.
You can go there and get help to start your business. Sure, you can go there and get a job too if you want. But no, I mean, I go to these job centres. They're spending billions of pounds a year, by the way, running these facilities, and it's literally the most depressing experience ever. Most people are only going there to sign a bit of paper to get their dole payment. So why not take all that infrastructure and turn it into an aspirational opportunity to go and learn how to start a business? And they're not saying no, and they're not saying yes. And I don't want to make them angry by telling them how shit they are, and then that not happen because they're pissed off with me saying that.
Yeah.
So, you have to play the long game. I think they're fucking up the country. That's the truth. But maybe partly because their advisors and their motivations are about making the Labour Party popular and not fixing the country. It's about like winning the election in 3 years' time. I actually heard a politician, a Labour politician, say this to the other day, like, we want to win the election in 3 years' time, so we have to do something that's positive to make sure we win the election. Forget winning the election. Just for the next 3 or 4 years, how about fix the fucking country? And again, Winston Churchill wasn't elected after the war, right? Because Winston Churchill, and a lot of people hate him too, but like Winston Churchill, he made decisions that made sure the country won the war. Okay? So that meant rations. Yeah, that meant things that were unpopular. So he didn't get elected. But thank fuck, we won the war, right? So, maybe don't run. I think I'd run it without wanting to get re-elected. I'd run it to just help people's lives get better and give people what they need. So for example, I give everyone a tax break to start a business of their own as a side hustle. The HMRC, the amount of money the UK is actually making in taxes is crazy. They're making huge amounts of money, more than they've ever made. So why not give everyone? Most people only need about $2,500 to start a business. Buy a camera, get a tripod, get on TikTok Shop, for example, right? Buy a bucket, buy a sponge, go clean some windows, right? Like most people just need basic amount, cover their living costs for a couple of months to go and start a business, right? Give that to people. You want to create jobs, create the opportunity to give people the chance to create jobs by creating their own job. And I think little things like that, like what's the worst? You give people $2,500 and they go spend it in the economy all right, that's the worst. It will come back to you another way anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think you need some bold, brave moves to kind of also, like, I would update the education system. When you're 6 years old, you get taught about money. My son knows about money. He knows how it works. He knows what an asset is. He knows what a liability is. The house we live in, I'm telling him, it's a liability. If you pay out for something, it's a liability. He knows it. Like, just teach this to everybody. You know, like Rishi Sunak did this thing. We're going to teach people maths until 18, from 16 now mandatory to 18. I'm like, just please call it financial literacy, because maths I can do on a calculator. So it's just little tweaks, right?
Also, automatically, it makes you more interested in the topic when you call it that.
Yeah, if you say, look, I'm going to teach you to be financially free. Oh, great. Or I'm going to teach you maths, you know, like massive complicated equations. Okay. There'll be some people who are interested in that, you know, there'll always be the geniuses or the people that, you know, but I think generally people want to have a practical use for education. So that's it. Just make the education system practical. Give people practical life experience. You know, I was 15 years old when I was kicked out of home, right? And I left school. I'd been in school 12 years. 12 years. I couldn't operate in the real world. I literally didn't know how to get food. You know, I've since learned foraging, by the way. You go into a forest, you can get all the food you need.
Actually,
I have. I love it. Like, I could actually go into a forest and survive. Like, I know what berries to pick, what I could eat. And it sounds silly, but like, kind of cool.
Yeah, if the world does go to shit.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You know, that's how we survived before. Pharmaceutical companies, you know what we used to do? We used to go into a forest and pick a certain berry and eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the pharmaceutical companies trademarked it, put it on the shelves and sold it to you. You know, like, just go to a forest for a week and survive. You're like, fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, maybe I'm not going to get elected now because my whole new school policy is everyone just goes into a forest for a week and survives. But I think, you know, there just needs to be a bit of a shake-up in this world. And I think we kind of done this property ownership experiment and this present education system for 100 years experiment. And it's not worked out for 90% of people, if you ask me. So I think there's, you know, we just need a bit of a shake-up.
Yeah. Amazing. When can people get their hands on this book?
Well, it depends when this podcast comes out, but it's out next week. So you pre-order it now, it will be delivered next week.
Okay.
And I never normally say this. I guarantee you'll like it. I can't say all your money back because I have to pay Penguin and the bookshop and all the other people, but you will get £20 worth of value out of it. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, it looks amazing. And I'm happy I finally got it. I've been waiting for this
let
for
me
a
know
while.
what you think once you've read it. I'm really interested in what you think.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on once again, Simon.
Pleasure.
You're doing an amazing job helping millions and millions of people fulfill their dream.
Thank you.
So
and you
keep doing your thing.
You too. Thank you very much for having me.